Hey, this is Gene.
Hey, I'm Ozzy.
And welcome to the Gene and Ozzy Show.
Hey, how you doing?
And a smile that lights up the night, and it all belongs to Kid Dynamite!
You hear that, Elizabeth? I'm coming to join you, honey.
You're gonna do the mambo. You're gonna do the mambo, but it's gonna be in the moon.
What you talking about, Willis?
No soup for you.
I say this calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud.
You are listening to the Gene and Ozzy Show.
You starting off, that's why it would make me kind of giggle, welcome to the Gene and Ozzy Show. I
thought it was just my charm that made you giggle.
Yeah, you just make me giggle when I look at you.
Oh.
So, how's your Sunday coming along? Right before the show started, you mentioned something that your son was up to. I thought
we have a Super Bowl party coming up. My son Coda, which a lot of has been on the show a few times. He dips down. His voice is changing. It's getting very deep, and I don't like it. He's mixing up today's game, Cincinnati Bengals game, with the Super Bowl because it is an important game. However, he's going around talking to all of our friends, texting them, inviting them to the house, and it keeps growing. And we only got enough food for just 4 people.
Oh no, that's going to be a treat. And that's right after our show. The game will start.
Yeah, pretty much. So what about your Sunday?
I'm going to just eat food. I probably will not watch the Cincinnati game because I don't care. But I hope they win so that your son will be in a good mood for the next week.
Yeah, me too.
Our last episode, I was complaining, remember? I was complaining like nobody is making comments. Nobody talks to us. But you know what? We forgot that we get some of our fans reach out to us directly. Okay, so I'd like to give a shout out to Bill N. We're not going to say last names.
You know who you are, Billy.
Yeah, Bill N. He's a loyal listener. He's always making comments about the show. Victoria, Vania, you both listen to our show like on the way, like you were on a road trip and you turned on our show. We appreciate that. Dave K, you know who you are. You're a good listener, And Gene, do you have some?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to my boy Tony and his wife. Says those 2 guys just laugh at each other. No, thank you. So he defended us, and I want to say thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. What's wrong with laughing at each other?
I know, right? We find comedy and humor in each other.
Yeah.
Even though his wife didn't want to listen, he's like promoting us.
Yeah. It means something to Gene.
That
Tony.
touches my heart, Tony. So thank you very much. Also, Nicole, used to be Nicole H. Now you're Nicole M. Also, Mike and Michelle, thank you so much. And also Will, my IT guy.
Will IT.
Will IT. He's not Will I Am, Will IT. He doesn't mix funky beats, but he gets my laptop working.
Oh, Will IT. And last but not least, this is a mutual friend of both Gene and I, Beverly K. Yeah, she listens to every episode. She gives us a breakdown of what she liked and what she thought was funny and ridiculous. And she does like almost every show. Like she reaches out to us and provides that feedback.
Gives us feedback. Thank you, Bev K.
Yes.
Thank you. From the bottom of my heart.
Bottom of both of our hearts. We appreciate, you being one of our top fans.
And you're still here.
Yeah.
You're still listening.
Still listens. She's loyal. In fact, she's one of the few that as soon as the episode drops, she's right on it.
Yep. And I appreciate you all. Thank you.
All of our fans. But anyway, so our subject for today's show, and I know all of you have been waiting for this for a while. I'm sorry it took so long. Old TV shows, part 2. Let's go. All right. So number one.
Uno.
Yeah.
We're going to have to start this show with one of my childhood favorites, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Aw.
Yeah. I have such fond memories of that neighborhood. Mr. Rogers was important. I love Mr. Rogers, but I loved the neighborhood of make-believe. I wanted to live in that world.
Don't you now?
Well, probably. But you remember the characters we had? What, King Friday?
King Friday.
The 13th?
Yeah, it was King Friday. It was Lady Elizabeth. Remember, was it Lady Elizabeth?
No, Lady Elaine.
Lady Elaine.
Lady Elaine.
Yeah.
Fairchild.
Lady Elaine Fairchild. Yeah. Yeah.
And then one of my favorites, Daniel Tiger.
Meow meow.
Meow meow. And the owl.
Meow meow. Yeah.
X the owl.
X the owl.
X the owl. Henrietta Pussycat.
Henrietta Pussycat.
Man, you remember them all. Yeah.
As soon as I came from school, that's all that mattered to me was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And I just loved Fred Rogers. I mean, he was such a kind, compassionate man, and the world was just in just a very tumultuous time of issues. He responded with that adversity with kindness and strength.
I've been terribly concerned about the graphic display of violence which the mass media has been showing recently. And I plead for your protection and support of your young children. There is just so much that a very young child can take without it being overwhelming.
And he helped us young people this is how you treat people.
Yeah.
You know, of course it was all, you know, most of what he shared was just Bible principles that he was raised on, and because he wasn't he a minister?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I loved me some Mr. Rogers, man. Do you have any fond memories of Rogers?
Just the fact that, because I mean, I agree with you. After school, you come home and you watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and he would take off his sweater, and then he go into the closet and he put on the other sweater.
You remember the shoes?
And the shoes too. He'd take off his shoes.
That's my favorite part.
He put on his other shoes. And then he goes over to
his casual shoes.
That train set that he had in his
the best train set ever. Oh, and the fish tank.
And the fish tank, yeah.
He would talk to the fish.
All of you are fish, yet each one of you is different.
Something that stood out to me back in the late 60s, where you got back and forth with racial injustice and
I was going to mention that.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. I know which episode you're talking about. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Go ahead.
But when Mr. Rogers he was a cop. He invited him over to was it a wading pool?
Yep.
And they rolled up their pant legs. Here's a black man and a white man sitting in the water together.
Oh, there's Officer Clemens. Hi, Officer Clemens. Come in.
Rogers, how are you?
Fine. Won't you sit down?
Oh, sure. Just for a moment.
It's so warm. I was just putting some water on my feet.
Oh, it sure is.
Would you like to join me?
It looks awfully enjoyable, but I don't have a towel or anything.
Oh, you share mine.
Okay.
Sure.
As an object lesson, because that was the time when segregation was heavy, but you had some integrated schools and integrated facilities, and people were still uneasy. So he used his platform to say, "Hey, it's cool. Get in the pool with me, buddy.
Roll up your pant legs."
Yeah.
Around the country, they didn't want black people to come and swim in their swimming pools. And Fred said, that is absolutely ridiculous.
Today, trouble under a noon sun. Negroes and white rabbis marched to a segregated hotel with these results. Manager James Brock told them to get off his private property, tossed cleaning chemicals inside the pool in an effort to get the Negroes to leave.
My being on the program was a statement for Fred.
That really, believe it or not, to a lot of kids, they say, okay, this little white man is onto something. little white kids, they were like, okay, well, I guess it's okay to get in a swimming pool with another little black kid.
Yeah, he showed respect to everyone.
Yeah.
And, you know, he didn't care what your background was. It didn't really matter. And Mr. Rogers aired from like 1968, believe it or not, all the way to 2001.
Yeah.
That's a lot of years.
A lot of years.
But, you know, even though Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was so respected, especially with parents, it was still made fun of. I don't know if you remember in 81, and we're going to talk about SNL later, but SNL introduced the character of Mr. Robinson. You remember that?
Won't you be my neighbor? Hi, neighbor. Eddie Murphy.
Neighbor?
He would crawl out the window at the end because his landlord would be banging on the door asking for rent. I did find out that he didn't mind the flattery of Eddie Murphy.
Well, some of them aren't very funny, but I think that a lot of them are done with real kindness in their hearts.
Mm-hmm. But I think he was a little offended by Jim Carrey's impression of
Jim
him.
Carrey was, that was a little bit more offensive.
It was. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube, but yeah, don't look at it.
But yeah, Mr. Rogers, I tell you what, it was a very important show. Kids that grew up on Mr. Rogers and watched Mr. Rogers, they were more balanced adults because of all those moral lessons and so forth. They had their stuff together more. Too much glitter now in TV and children's shows. You know, Mr. Rogers is old news. But man, I tell you, what a great show.
What a great show.
But with that being said, number 1 was Mr. Rogers. Number 2, what's your number 2?
2. Yes.
I'm going to take you to, again, getting off the school bus. What came on before Mr. Rogers was Sesame Street.
Sesame Street. Yep.
Yeah.
Sunny day, sweeping up clouds away. On my way to where the air is sweet. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street?
So I can remember watching Sesame Street. It obviously came on before I was born, the first episode, because the first episode was like 1969. But as long as I've been alive, Sesame Street has been on. And it, again, a lot of the teaching tools that they use with Muppets. It's fantastic. Muppets like Big Bird, Bert and Ernie, Oscar the Grouch, Grover. This is near. This is far. Near. Far. I love that. And of course, Bert and Ernie. Ooh, Buddy Bert. And you would have Kermit the Frog on there. Hi ho, this is Kermit the Frog. Which was another one. How was Kermit on Sesame Street, but also the Muppet Show? He did a little crossover.
Yeah, he did. There was crossover.
He was ahead of his time.
Yeah. Originally, we were going to talk about the Muppet Show on this episode, but we're not. But yeah, there was crossover. And what about Miss Piggy? Was she ever on Sesame Street?
No, she was on the Muppet Show.
So that was just the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always liked the people on there. You had Gordon, Maria.
Maria.
Lady, Maria.
Yeah,
she would teach me Spanish. I learned Spanish from her and Luis.
I did too. Yeah.
I would go around the house saying uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco.
Well, whenever I hear anything in Spanish, it always sounds so romantic.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I wonder why that is.
Shall we tell him?
Why not?
Why not?
Every language has words that are different in a number of interesting ways. And what sounds so exciting in Spanish may be boring and dull in English. For example, yo tengo catarro may sound very romantic and bold.
But in English, yo tengo catarro means I just caught a terrible cold.
Por favor, suénate la nariz is the way that the old saying goes.
It may sound like she's saying I love you,
but I said, would you please blow your nose?
Because of Luis and Maria and Mr. Hooper. Remember him, Mr. Hooper?
Oh, I loved him. Yeah.
And Bob, sadly, Bob, he passed away. The guy that played Bob.
Now, my favorite character was Big Bird.
Why'd you like Big Bird?
For some reason, because he was big.
Mm-hmm.
It was fascinating to me that there was this big bird. And I don't know, that sounds so simple, but yeah, he was nice. Big Bird was a nice guy. Yeah. And Oscar the Grouch was classic. You know,
oh, goodness gracious. He was a classic, wasn't he? Living in a garbage can.
Yeah.
They did skits on there too. I think that's why I liked it.
But there used to be a lot of songs that were really catchy that I enjoyed immensely.
Yeah. And of course, when I got older, of course, you had Elmo. La 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 la. Yeah. And you had the Cookie Monster. C is for cookie. That's good enough for me.
A lot of characters that
came
from that. All right, well let's move on because this is only an hour show. This third one, we all watched it when we came home from school as well. It was in syndication when it became the most popular, and that is Gilligan's Island.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. The mate was a mighty sailing man, the skipper brave and sure. 5 passengers set sail that day for a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour. The weather started getting rough, the tiny ship was tossed. If not for the courage of the fearless crew, the minnow would be lost. The minnow would be lost. The ship's aground on the shore of this uncharted desert isle, with Gilligan, the skipper too, a millionaire and his wife, the movie star, the professor and Mary Ann, here on Gilligan's Island.
You had Bob Denver and Jim Backus and Tina Louise, Dawn Wells, Mary Ann. I had a crush on her. But anyway, yeah, it aired for 3 seasons. Now, you would think if you watched the original Gilligan's Island, you're like, well, it must have been on the air forever. No,
forever,
3 seasons.
Oh my goodness!
From 1964 to 1967, 3 seasons only. 7. It was about 7 castaways. They try to survive on an island after it was shipwrecked. I have so many good memories coming home from school, turning on the tube, and watching the love of my life, Mary Ann, entertain me.
You think I can play it?
Sure, why not? Here.
Well, I don't have much of an ear for music.
You don't need an ear, just a knee.
Hey! Oh, Gilligan, you're wonderful.
And her making coconut cream pies for Gilligan. And when we were kids, I don't know about your house, but my brothers, we used to pretend that we were on Gilligan's Island. That was playtime for us.
A 3-hour tour, man.
A 3-hour tour.
That lasted a lifetime for them, being on that island.
Yeah. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It's like, why can't you guys get off an island after all these opportunities?
But they did get off the island in a made-for-TV movie, right?
Yeah, but that's after they got old and no one cared.
No one cared. Oh my goodness. Either you like Mary Ann or you like Ginger.
No, I was Mary Ann all the way. I didn't care about Ginger. It was about Mary Ann. Coconut cream pies. So
I think it was all about, she was simple.
yeah.
She was a simple girl. Now, Ginger, she was a movie star, right? So she was about glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
She's high maintenance.
High maintenance.
I can't deal with high maintenance.
Yeah. Does any guy out there want a high maintenance woman?
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
And if you are okay with it, do you have a high maintenance woman?
Yeah, maybe, you know, there's somebody for everybody. So, but yeah, but not Gilligan. Marianne was definitely more my speed, but I loved Gilligan. Just how ridiculous he was, and he would just always do the silliest things on that show. And Skipper was always beating him up, hitting him over the head with his hat.
Hey, Skipper! There's a man on the island with a net trying to catch a butterfly.
If there is a man with a net on this island, he'd be after you. You know what you are. You're bumbling, stupid, incompetent, and useless, and those are your good points. Would you go pick up coconuts somewhere else, or there's going to be a storm around here that's going to shake everything loose, including you?
Well, it must have a blank roll of tape and an automatic replay mechanism.
You mean whatever I say to it, the robot will repeat it back?
Yes.
Great. We've got a mechanical Gilligan.
Skipper.
Yeah, they had a contentious relationship, but also Skipper would do anything for Gilligan. That's my little buddy. And he would protect him. And
Gilligan.
Yeah, I kind of had a relationship like that with a guy in my neighborhood. But he just reminded me a lot of Skipper. And in our relationship, I was Gilligan because I was, skinny little kid, and he was big and
he was a big guy.
He was a big guy.
Skipper. And you were his Gilligan. You were his little buddy.
My little buddy. I'll protect you. So it brings back such good memories. But number 4 is yours, Gene. So what's happening with that one?
You got it. What's happening? You had Raj, Rerun, and Dwayne. You remember those 3?
Which one was the guy with the glasses?
That was Raj.
Yeah, I loved Raj.
Raj, Rerun, and Dwayne were 3 high school kids. It was a half-hour sitcom. They were always getting into something because of they try to get get rich quick schemes, or try to get by as teenagers could. And I equated with that because the kids in my neighborhood, there was me, Stuart. Remember Stuart? Because Stuart looked like Rerun. Another little skinny kid with glasses looked like Raj.
Wow.
Because I was the Dwayne. And so just like when the show opens with them like dribbling the basketball and that was us. We would go down the street just bouncing a ball, big little black kids. We would get into shenanigans like that. But one episode that really stands out, the Doobie Brothers was coming to do a concert in their hometown.
I remember
at
that.
Their high school, remember?
Yeah.
And Rerun smuggled a little tape recorder and he put it under his coat and he went to the concert. He was gonna bootleg. That's when I first found out about bootlegging. From Rerun. What's happening? So he of course with those little tape recorders you had to hit the play and record button. So he did that and he slid down into his trench coat. Stupid Rerun was in the front row of the concert where they were playing. Taking it to the street, taking it to the street, taking it to the street, taking it to the street. And the crowd was going crazy. Rerun's up in the front row and he's jumping up and down, getting all excited. And all of a sudden, Panasonic tape recorder falls out of his trench coat. Everybody in the front row started pointing at him. Ooh! Even the Doobie Brothers themselves stopped playing, and they pointed at Rerun.
Yeah.
And then they zoomed in on his face. He was looking, left and right. Sorry.
I could totally see Rerun doing that.
Oh man, and
Yeah.
I found out that you don't bootleg. So they had a little moral.
Yeah, a little moral.
Yeah, they came to Shirley's Diner. I don't remember what that diner was, but they all
man, I
What was
forgot
that
about
diner
her. She was hilarious. She was
Yeah.
so rude.
Shirley Hemphill.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
She was mean to those kids.
She was mean, but she was funny though.
Hey, Shirley, how about some service? I'm coming. Shirley, could you give us our check? Well, hold on, fool. You ready, Arnold? Ready? Are you kidding? We gotta go. Shirley, we've been ready for 15 minutes. Well, it's good practice. Practice for what? For the next 15 minutes.
I can't not remember the name of the diner. Anyway, she was a comedian.
Yeah.
She had a diner. All the kids would go there, kind of the way 90210 kids went to the Peach Pit.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Doobie Brothers came in and they told Rerun, they had a little lecture, and they told Rerun how bad it was to bootleg music.
They sat him down and explained it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell a kid nowadays.
Oh, goodness gracious.
The sins of that. See what happens.
They're like, nah.
I don't care.
Meanwhile, they got all this kind of music and movies downloaded on their device, bootlegged it and pirated.
Oh man, I really did love that show. I loved Raj because he was always trying to keep things together. He was always trying to do the right thing. He was really smart.
Yeah. And his smart alecky daughter Dee, remember Dee, the daughter?
Oh yeah, she was
his
rotten.
Daughter, his sister, his little sister.
So rotten.
D, I have to use the phone.
Raj, let me remind you, who lives in this house besides you?
You?
And when you live in another person's house with another person, shouldn't you ask permission to use what's in another person's hand?
Okay, may I use the phone?
May I use the phone what?
May I use the phone, please?
When I'm finished.
D, this is important.
So is this. Betty, you'll never guess what we got in our house today. A paid telephone. If you want to use the phone, you have to pay $0.25.
Yeah, I didn't like her at all.
I wanted to smack Dee.
I tell you, I never wanted to smack someone so bad in my life. Yeah.
Remember their mom?
Yeah.
She would discipline those kids.
Yeah, sure.
With a
like real discipline.
Real discipline, yeah.
Like, I'm gonna beat you, child.
Now be quiet, Roger.
Yeah, be quiet, Roger.
Shut up or I beat your behind.
Oh man, but they knew who the mom was in that house. But it was an excellent show. I love that show.
That'd be considered violence now.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm gonna bounce it on over to you. Another funny 80s show.
Number 5. Well, this is a black and white show. Different Strokes.
Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along come two, they got nothing but the genes. They got different strokes it takes, different strokes it takes, different strokes to move the world.
This was another show that I know you watched, Gene, and I watched, and we absolutely were obsessed with Different Strokes. It was on NBC from 1978 to 1985. And then I think it was on ABC from 85 to 86. One last hurrah or whatever. But Gary Coleman, Todd Bridges, Conrad Bain, Dana Plato.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she was Kimberly on the show, the white girl. Mr. Drummond adopted 2 kids.
He adopted them because their mom died.
Right.
They were friends, and when she died, he took on the role as their father by adopting them.
Their mother was my housekeeper for many years. A sweet, wonderful woman. She was like a member of the family. On her deathbed, she asked me to look after her 2 boys.
The weird thing is, okay, they were from Harlem. And he was like Park Avenue businessman. He was
Park
like
Avenue,
a tycoon.
Yeah, he's an entrepreneur, and Yeah.
You know, and the boys, they're just like, what? You're our new dad? I mean, like, this is great.
How do you like it?
Man, this is better than anything I ever saw in the Brady Bunch.
And they started getting stuff. Now, that's the reason why I was obsessed with Different Strokes. Because I put myself in the shoes of those two kids.
You want to be a little black kid adopted by a
Well,
white
I mean, I didn't care about color, but I cared about their cool stuff, their fish tank. I cared about their bunk beds. I cared about the toys that they had, and their rich father, and it was just so cool.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Talking to us?
Of course.
How about that, Willis? Downtown 2 minutes and already we're gentlemen.
What you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about? But you know what? There were a lot of, in that series or that show, they had a lot of special episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Episodes on racism. They had episodes on drugs use. They had episodes on alcoholism and hitchhiking.
Child
kidnapping, yes, sexual child abuse. They had all of it. This was a comedy. This was a comedy, and they had all of these special episodes.
Don't go to Mr. Horton's bicycle shop.
Yeah, and what happened there? You know,
Hello, I'm Conrad Bain. Tonight on Different Strokes, we're starting a special two-part show on a very sensitive and important subject. Now, we urge families, children, and parents alike to watch both of these informative episodes and then to discuss the problem presented, which is of deep concern to all of us.
Listen, guys, if you have not gone skinny dipping, you have missed one of the great joys in this life. I think I got some pictures around here of a bunch of us skinny dipping. You guys are going to love them. Let's see if I can find them.
Mr. Horton, no. No. Yeah, and Mrs. Garrett. Remember the maid, Mrs. Garrett?
yeah, I remember her.
Arnold, Willis, Kimberly.
I didn't really care for Garrett. She did nothing for
I
me.
like Mrs. Garrett.
I don't know.
She went on to do her own little spinoff. She went on to The Facts of Life.
There was a second housekeeper. You remember her?
Pearl.
Was it Pearl?
I think it was somebody between her and Pearl.
Adelaide.
I don't know. I'm gonna look that up. Different Strokes housekeeper. Different Strokes.
Then it was Pearl. Yeah. Pearl.
Strokes housekeepers. Housekeepers. Okay, we got Pearl.
Adelaide.
You're right. Adelaide, she looked like Tweety Bird's grandma.
Yeah.
We'll just stay here tonight and have a nice rest.
Yeah. You can ask me anything about Different Strokes, man.
Yeah, you got me on that one. Yeah.
I love that show. Loved it. You know what's really sad is what happened to all of those actors after the show ended.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the stories of just, it's just horrific stories of what happened to all of them.
Well, except for Willis. You know, he grew up.
Willis did okay, but no one respected Willis anymore. I mean, he wasn't a respected actor, right? They used him like for stupid stuff, but he wasn't a respected actor. Sorry, Willis, but I just called Todd Bridges Willis. I'm sorry.
Gary Coleman died.
Yeah, Gary Coleman died, and then of course Dana, she died.
Yeah,
early.
Died.
She went into some very terrible fields.
Yeah, she did. Right before they canceled the show, Mr. Drummond got married, and
oh yeah,
Dixie Carter was his wife.
Yeah, Dixie Carter.
Brought in his little kid named Sam. Sham, Mr. D.
Oh, he was annoying to me.
Wasn't he really? That's at this point when you want to box his ears.
They were ruining the duo.
You know what that was? Arnold and Willis have grown up, and they needed another little cute kid.
He was not a cute kid.
Arnold, this is our living room, too.
Yes, Arnold Jackson. You're just being creepy because you've got homework to do and we're having fun.
He was an annoying kid. Janet Jackson was on that show. She was Willis's girlfriend, Charlene.
Yeah. And she was cute. She was really cute on the show.
There was a lot of people on that show.
Yeah, there was a lot of famous people that went through that show. But so number 6 is yours. Saturday Night Live.
So with Saturday Night Live, of course, a sketch comedy that's still on. It's been on since
70s, right?
Ever since I was itty bitty, watching those skits. And
now, who else? Who was one of your other favorite?
There's so many. I'm gonna give you like two more, but I'm gonna highlight another one. The other one was Chris Farley as the motivational speaker Matt Foley, who lived in a van down by the river.
But your father and I came up with a brilliant idea to give you kids some direction. A motivational speaker.
Yeah, one of those guys who speaks to big groups at high schools and churches.
You mean to come to the house?
Uh-huh.
Matt, we're ready for you. His speech is called Go For It. Now, he's used to big groups, so make him feel like there's a crowd here. Matt, come on up, buddy!
All right, how's everybody? Good. Now, as your father probably told you, my name is Matt Foley, and I am a motivational speaker. Now, let's get started by letting me give you a little bit of a scenario of what my life is all about. First off, I am 35 years old, I am divorced, and I live in a van down by the river. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're probably gonna find out as you go out there that you're not going to amount to jack squat. You're gonna end up eating a steady diet of government cheese and living in a van down by the river.
Of course, every skit that Chris Farley was in was hilarious. I don't think I've ever seen.
Well, who was it? Wait a minute. Dana Carvey, right, was in it too, right?
Dana Carvey was on.
They actually played a lot together in the same skit.
Dana Carvey, oh man, he did Church Lady. Remember Church Lady?
Oh, he was funny. I'm getting these skinny white guys mixed up.
And he was.
Church Lady was hilarious.
Church Lady was hilarious.
Can you do Church Lady? I know you can do Church Lady, Gene. I know you can.
Who made you do that? Satan.
Who could trick us into doing that? Could have been Satan.
Man. And then, of course, Wayne's World with Mike Myers and Dana Carvey. It started.
Yeah.
People probably know the movies, but it started from Saturday Night Live. But
Wayne's World, party time. Excellent.
Wayne's World. But Mike Myers' most funniest skit from him on Saturday Night Live. But now it's even more funny as a middle-aged man.
Yeah, why?
Because it was called Middle-Aged Man.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I can help. Always hook positive to positive. When the dead car starts, remove the cables immediately. You ought to put some baking soda on those battery terminals. That way they won't corrode.
Why? I never would have thought of that. I mean, how do you know this stuff?
I know because I'm middle-aged man.
Middle-aged man. Middle-aged man.
He would give little suggestions to people in their 20s. But what was funny, looking at it as a kid, it was an old bald guy running down the street, and it was his superpower. He was middle-aged man.
Yeah. Middle-aged man.
Middle-aged man.
Yeah.
In the later years, of course, they had rotating cast members. One of my favorite cast members was Bobby Moynihan, because he would always do Drunk Uncle on the Weekend Update.
Well, it's graduation time across America, and that means time spent with family. Here with his thoughts on graduation is our own Drunk Uncle.
I didn't graduate high school.
Well, welcome back, Drunk Uncle. So are you going to any graduation ceremonies this year?
Not if I can help it. School's just not the same anymore, Seth. When I was a kid, we studied real subjects, You were either You're either blacksmith, cobbler, butcher, baker, candlestick maker.
And if anybody has a drunk uncle,
that's him.
You knew it. You knew that was
Yeah.
him. And that was so stinking hilarious. The seasons that Bobby Moynihan was on. Adam Driver, the dude that plays Kylo Ren.
Oh yeah.
He did this hilarious skit. Remember the show Undercover Boss?
Dude, I saw that. That's one of the funniest skits.
I know. Well, explain Undercover Boss to people.
Undercover Boss is basically, it's like the CEO. Most CEOs don't know what's going on in the bottom levels of the company and middle management and so forth. So what they do is with the help of this show, they put on like
prosthetics or something.
I don't know. Yeah, prosthetics, like a mustache and beard, and you can't recognize them. Every level of the company, they go ahead and pretend
like they're the new guy coming in.
The new guy
with him, so he can spy on him. He's undercover. He's an undercover boss.
Yeah,
find out what's going on in his company, right?
Yeah.
So in this skit, Adam Driver, the guy that plays Kylo Ren in Star Wars, he was Kylo Ren on Undercover Boss, wanting to come in as Starkiller Base radar technician.
Kylo Ren is the commander of the First Order, a massive regime dedicated to wiping out the galactic resistance. This week, Kylo is going undercover among Starkiller Base personnel as Matt, a radar technician.
We've put hidden cameras in an employee common area, and no one has any idea that Matt is their boss, Kylo Ren.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a radar technician. You guys like working here?
You know, work is work.
Yeah, totally. What do you guys think of Kylo Ren? Do you guys believe when he says that he's gonna finish what Darth Vader started?
What exactly has he started? I'm 90% sure Matt is Kylo Ren. Yeah, this has actually been a rough year for my family. We lost our son back in April. He was in the Stormtrooper program, and we're getting by.
Oh, man. Sorry about that. Must be hard. Hearing that Zach lost his son really struck a nerve with me. Especially since I'm the one that killed him.
People that worked on the Starkiller Base. What do you think of Kylo Ren? Is he a cool guy?
Yeah, and they end up dying, right?
Yeah, he would like use the Force and like choke them to death.
Yeah. Sorry, but but look, other than like some of those shows, Saturday Night Live has gone way downhill. It's not the same.
No, I would agree with that, but it still has peaks and valleys. If you got like an interesting host, the episode's good. The show is going to be really good because they're going to have some really good skits. But there's been some times where there was just some stinker.
It's just I've seen so many that I stopped watching it. So the only thing I'll watch is like for example, I'll go on YouTube, and if there's something that's really funny, it'll be on YouTube. And so I just watch it on YouTube. I don't even turn it on. I never even watch it live.
Oh, I do. I did ever since I was a kid.
Yeah,
ever since I was a kid, at 10:30 our time. But anyway, so I'm gonna bounce it over to you, my friend. What are we at? What number?
We're gonna go back in time. We're down to number 7, Gene, to the Brady Bunch. Man, I loved that show.
Here's the story of a lovely lady who was bringing up 3 very lovely girls. All of them had hair of gold, like their mother, the youngest one in curls.
It's the story of a man named Brady who was busy with 3 boys of his own. They were 4 men living all together, yet they were all alone. Till the one day when the lady met this fellow, and they knew that it was much more than a hunch, that this group must somehow form a family. That's the way we all became the Brady Bunch.
It started in the late 60s, 1969. The last show was aired in 1974. And what the series revolved around was a large blended family with 6 children. And it aired for like 5 seasons or whatever, and then it went into syndication, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, when I was young, I dreamt about like, what would it be nice to live in a really nice house, because I grew up poor.
Yeah.
And so any show like Different Strokes was an example.
Mhm.
And then Brady Bunch was another example where like, wow, like I wish I had that toy. I wish I had that father. Sorry, Dad. Yeah, I mean, look, I love my dad, but that guy was like the perfect father. I mean, he wasn't in real life, obviously. He was
Your
probably,
dad-
you know, he definitely wasn't a real nice guy in real life. But on the show, he was just one of the most amazing. He would sit down with his children when they're doing wrong things and talk to them and read.
I'm sure your dad did that.
He did, but my dad was disciplined more physically.
He would sit you down.
He would
He would turn you over his knees. Or
he would sit me down and then beat me. So there was 2 different, you know, but I never saw any beatings at the Brady Bunch
That's
house.
right, you didn't, did you? No, you didn't.
No, nobody ever beat anybody.
Even when they bounced that ball in the house and broke that vase. Remember that episode?
Hey, come on, you guys. Let's play free throws in the wastebasket.
We better not. Mom will get mad.
No, she won't. Nobody's home. Set it up again.
Big Pete Brady intercepts and goes for a shot. Oh, no.
Mom's favorite vase.
She always says,
Don't play ball in there.
And they were scared for whatever reason. You had the nicest parents in the world. What are you doing being scared?
They were scared.
Why?
I tell you, the funniest episode was that. Remember that 2-parter where they went to Hawaii
Oh, that was ridiculous.
and they found that little tiki thing.
That was so dumb. I hated those episodes because I wanted them to be home. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, why didn't they just stay home?
Just stay home.
And a house full of kids. That was kind of like my house. I think that's why I watched it.
I like the housekeeper too on that show. Alice was really cool. She was always like, when some of the kids were up to no good, Alice would somehow hear about it. And then, but she would try to solve the problem before it got to the parents. And I'm like, man, wouldn't that be cool to have an adult like that in your house?
If there's anything I can't stand, it's a perfect kid. And 6 of them, yeah.
Oh, Alice. Remember she dated Sam the Butcher Man.
Oh, yeah.
There's a little something special in here for you, Alice. 4 extra lamb chops and pink panties.
Sam, couldn't be better if it was 14-karat gold.
What was wrong with Alice? Why couldn't she date an architect?
Yeah, why?
Like Mr. Brady.
Why the guy that works at the butcher supermarket?
Come on, man. You remember the football scene?
Yeah, they hit Marsha in the nose.
They hit Marsha, and Marsha was a very pretty girl, but she her nose blew up.
It did, bigger than that football.
15, 64, 50, 80, 90, hey! Hey, you guys. Oh, my nose!
Marcia, stop. You okay? You hurt? I'm really sorry.
Oh, let's take a look at it, honey.
It's getting bigger by the minute.
I think we better get her to a doctor right away.
I hope it isn't broken.
What's the difference? There goes my date with Doug.
But you know who loved that was Jan.
Oh, of course.
Jan's like, Marsha.
I thought Jan was just as cute.
No, I didn't find Jan attractive at all.
Jan was cute. She was cute. Marsha.
Maybe for you.
Marsha was attractive.
Marsha was very attractive. Anybody who listens to our show knows all my crushes. Like every crush that I ever had now is now available to everyone for anyone to hear.
I know. That's why I try to bring them out of you. Try to get people to know your crushes. It's working.
You remember when they did that whole day, like the kids got together and did a singing group?
Yeah.
And they won a talent show and I'm like, there's no way in the world you're gonna win a talent show, all of you.
Especially with Peter and his changing voice.
And the dance was so dumb. But look, we didn't watch that show because it made any sense. There were other reasons why we watched this show.
Because you like Marsha.
Because of Marsha. Marsha this, Marsha that.
Well, all I hear all day long at school is how great Marcia is at this or how wonderful Marcia did that. Marcia.
Anyway, so we got to move on to number 8. And number 8 is Gene. We're going to fight over this because I love this show just as much as you. What's number 8?
Well, we're going to move on up to the east side.
To the east side.
Do a deluxe apartment.
In the sky.
Talking about the Jeffersons.
The Jeffersons.
Fish don't fry in the kitchen. Beans don't burn on the grill. Took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill. Now we're up in the big leagues, getting our turn at bat. As long as we live, it's you and me, baby. There ain't nothing wrong with that. We're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. We're moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
It's about George Jefferson. He had a string of dry cleaner stores, and his franchise of dry cleaner stores blew up. So they moved to the east side of New York, the rich neighborhood, and they were in a penthouse apartment. Also, George's antics, I think, what made the show, because he was a bigot. Put it out there. He was if you remember All in the Family, Archie Bunker.
Yeah, he was a bigot.
But the black version. And so their neighbors, Tom and Helen Willis, were a mixed couple. Tom was a white guy. Helen was black. It's actually Helen. That's Lenny Kravitz's mom in real life.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Yes way. Yeah. George Jefferson. I guess the funniest things about it was some of his remarks toward Tom and Helen, because they were a mixed couple.
George, why do we have to fight so much? If we have a problem, why can't we just talk it through like Tom and Helen? They don't fight.
They don't fight because they're scared to fight.
What's that supposed to mean?
You know well what it means. If you two ever really started going at one another, inside of 5 minutes, he'd be calling you.
Don't say he said it.
Now, you listen to me. We have had lots of fights, and it's never happened.
Oh, and don't tell me it never crossed your mind.
No more than it ever crossed my mind to say the word at all.
Well, how come you said it just then?
Come on, let's go.
That's the best idea you've had all day.
But also their housekeeper. Let me out here.
Flo. No, was it Flo?
What was her name? Oh my goodness.
If I feel like
it was Flo. Yeah, it was Flo. Florence. Yeah, Florence. Played by Marla Gibbs. Yeah, they're and she would like just put George in his place because of he was being such a bigot.
Yeah.
The housekeeper Florence.
She couldn't stand him.
No.
Like, every episode she was always saying something stupid and derogatory about her boss.
Which one do you think is softer?
This one.
It may be soft, but at least it ain't hollow.
You have to excuse my maid. Every time she opens her mouth, her brain takes a coffee break.
Of course, you don't have that problem, because you ain't got no brain. That's very good, Mr. Jefferson. You keep changing your mind like that, and someday, maybe you'll end up with one that works.
And someday, maybe, I'll end up with a maid that works.
I doubt it, because it ain't easy working in all this heat.
What heat?
All that hot air coming out your mouth.
Florence, now you know I like my scotch on the rocks.
Then why don't you pour it over your head? He's so short, he has to stand on his toes to put his hat on.
Florence, I don't even wear a hat.
That's because you can't find one big enough to fit your fat head. And ugly. Child, Mr. Jefferson is so ugly that when he used to work in a bakery, they used to dip his face in the batter to make the animal cookies.
Like, how in the world did she keep her job, Gene?
I know, right?
How do you still have a job?
Because of Wheezy.
Wheezy.
Sound like my Aunt Lizzie.
She protected her.
Yeah, she did protect her.
Tom was such a weak man.
He was.
Dude, you don't stand up for yourself no matter what. Like, Gene's son is bothering him right now. Get out of here.
I am not.
I think you are.
No.
You like being on the show, don't you?
Yeah, we're going to cut you out this time. Who wears the pants in the Gene household?
That would be me.
Okay, well, that's weird. Make like a tree and get out of here.
I was just coming in here to tell you.
That's a quote from Back to the Future.
Chicken. I don't know what she's doing.
Okay, till I'll be up in a little bit.
Right.
I'm doing rich stuff with chicken.
Wait, is this a new thing? Your son has to interrupt our show from now on?
Yeah. It's every episode now.
Every single episode, we got to hear. We got to hear his antics.
He likes to hear his own voice.
Yeah, I'm going to cut him out
because he listens to our show. That's another one. Listens to our show a lot.
Yeah, I guess. Well, maybe I won't cut him out then. All right, we're going to move on.
Move on to your show, number 9.
Number 9. This is one of my favorite shows of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the best shows, one of the funniest shows that ever hit our eyeballs. Seinfeld. Debuted in 1989. The last show is in 1998, and that was the saddest day in the world. Saddest day ever in 98 when that show ended.
That was an odd episode when that show ended.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second because I did not like that last episode. But it was a show. If anybody that hasn't watched Seinfeld before, it was a show about nothing. Seinfeld was a comedian. The show centered around him and his friends in New York. You had Kramer and Seinfeld and Elaine and George and all of these crazy characters. But you know, it's something I learned about when I was doing some research on this, Gene. Larry David, who is the creator of the show, Seinfeld, right. He had this rule. You know how we're always talking about moral lessons on old shows?
Yeah.
You know, sentimental things that needs to be mixed into the show, heartfelt episodes, blah, blah, blah.
A very special episode.
Yeah, very special episodes. Larry David had a rule. He said there's not going to be a single Seinfeld episode with any learning, with any lessons, no hugging, no moral lessons at all. And that was his rule. And you know what? It was so funny. These characters were horrible people. Selfish, self-centered, thinking about themselves, how they look to others. And that's what made the show so funny. Steven Spielberg,
right?
When he was working on the Holocaust drama Schindler's List, he would watch episodes of Seinfeld to cheer himself up, which is interesting because Schindler's List is about Jews, right? And then Seinfeld were a bunch of Jewish friends and getting together.
It made him laugh. What was your favorite episode?
I can't pick one, but Kramer was my favorite character.
Yeah.
And so Kramer would just run into the room. One time, it was really funny. Elaine and Seinfeld, they were arguing, hooked George up with some girl, but they were fighting. And then Kramer came in the room and he's like, stop it, you two, stop. He goes, don't you see? Can't you see it? You love each other. And they're looking at each other like, what?
I did you a favor.
I thought you said they had a good time. Is there anything else you're keeping from me?
Are you calling me a liar?
I'm calling you one if you are one. Are you a liar?
Are you?
Get your finger out of my face.
You get yours out. I was here first.
I don't care.
Get it out. Get it out. Out.
Hey, all right. Hey, come on. Stop. Come on. Break it up. Hey! What's the matter with you? Don't you two see that you're in love with each other? I mean, why can't you face that already? You're running around out there looking for something that's not even there when everything that you dream of is right here in front of you.
You know, like the thing that was funny about Kramer, he was always wrong about everything,
right?
But he felt like he was right with everything. Remember that one time he swam in the river?
The Hudson, yeah.
Yeah, like, come on, what are you doing?
What is that smell? That's East River.
You're swimming in the East River? The most heavily trafficked, overly contaminated waterway on the eastern seaboard?
Technically, Norfolk has more gross tonnage.
How could you swim in that water?
I saw a couple of other guys out there.
Swimming?
Well, floating. They weren't moving much, but they were out there.
Because, yeah, there were some bodies in the river.
Some bodies, yeah. Oh my goodness. My favorite episode. Oh no. I got two actually. One was Man Hands. You remember Man Hands?
Oh, Man Hands.
The girl that he went out with, she had hands like a man.
Yeah, he couldn't take it.
And every time she would reach for something, they would like zoom in on her hand. It wasn't actually a man's hand.
Well, Seinfeld could not handle any imperfection in a woman.
No.
So he could never settle with anyone for more than a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man Hands was just too much for him.
Man. So let's think about this. So we have Man Hands.
Yeah.
We had the girl with the toothbrush.
Oh yeah.
Right? She dropped the toothbrush and he would never kiss her again.
He dropped the toothbrush in the toilet.
Yeah, and he could have just told her, look, I dropped your toothbrush, but he never said anything.
And he never kissed her. That was funny. You know, another episode that I appreciate, because I am admittedly kind of a germaphobe. Not as bad as Ozzy.
Not as bad as me.
You take the cake. Jerry is the most neurotic germaphobe on the planet. And when he took one of his dates to out to eat to this restaurant, he goes in the restroom, is coming out of the stall, going to wash his hands. Out of the stall next to him is the chef about to cook their food. He comes out of the stall, goes right to the mirror, looks at himself, and walks out.
Doesn't wash his hands. Does
Does not even look at the sink to wash his hands. Walks straight out, and he goes out. Jerry goes out, sits down, cooking the food. He says, Jerry, I make this meal especially for you, Jerry.
Especially for you.
Jerry, tonight you in it for a real treat. I'm personally going to prepare the dinner for you and the Mayodri.
Jerry, you okay? Is anything wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Eating the dough.
That was the worst.
And Jerry's like, I'm not eating here.
I'm not eating your food. You know, there were so many good episodes that we could have a whole series of Gene and Ozzy shows on Seinfeld.
Have you ever come across someone who likes the show Friends? And
Yeah.
I'm going to pitch this to you.
Yeah.
The people that watch Friends, they don't watch Seinfeld.
I know. I noticed that.
And the people that watch Seinfeld don't watch Friends.
Don't watch Friends. Yeah.
Why is that?
It's just a completely different type of comedy.
Because now I admitted I've watched maybe a episode of Friends. I can't really get into it.
It's boring.
Yeah. I'm sorry, all you listeners. You're probably Friends.
It's not funny. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I do lean towards Seinfeld.
Yeah. Friends will never be on our list.
Yeah, no.
No.
Oh man. But if you ever you want a good laugh, watch Seinfeld.
So yeah, Seinfeld, the last episode that ended the series was, a lot of people were complaining about it because it's like they didn't want it to end like that. There was this law in this small town. They were traveling, all of them. Like you can't watch a crime happening without, if it's safe to do so, interceding. And so they end up going to prison.
I do not know how or under what circumstances the four of you found each other. But your careless indifference and utter disregard for everything that is good and decent has rocked the very foundation upon which our society is built. I can think of nothing more fitting than for the four of you to spend a year removed from society so that you can contemplate the manner in which you have conducted yourselves. I know I will. This court is adjourned.
Yeah, no.
And I think the very last scene is Seinfeld in the prison telling jokes on
Yeah, no.
stage, and then
was-
they took him off. They say, "Okay, that's enough. That's enough, Jerry," and they took him off stage, and that was it.
That was it.
I'm like, all these years of watching Seinfeld, and this is how the show's going to end.
Could have ended it better than that.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, man. So that was Seinfeld was number 9. What our last show for this episode is what, Gene?
Good Times.
Keeping your head above water, making a way when you can. Temporary layoffs. Good times. Easy credit rip-offs. Good times. Scratching and surviving. Good times. Hanging in a jar. Good times. Ain't we lucky we got 'em? Good times.
Good times. Good times.
It was about Florida and James Evans.
Yeah.
We've been to Chicago projects. They had a goofy kid named JJ.
Mid-70s.
Kid Dynamite.
Dynamite. It was focused on an inner city African American couple.
Yeah.
Trying to raise their 3 children. Lots of challenges. They were dirt poor. And again, tackled real world issues, like Different Strokes.
Yeah.
But you know what? Good Times though was a spinoff.
No, a spinoff of what?
You didn't
Mom?
know. See, I knew you wouldn't know that.
Listen to you. I knew.
I knew you wouldn't know that.
Was it Maude?
You got it. Oh, come on, man. Yeah, it was a spinoff. It was a spinoff of Maude, which in turn was a spinoff of what?
All in Family.
Dude, you're good.
All right.
You're good. Okay. All right.
On Sunday afternoon.
Okay. Why should I have ever doubted you?
Yeah. I tried, you know what? I was like, in my brain, it's like, what come first? What come first? And I remember all the Norman Lear shows that he produced. And so I did a little Rolodex in my brain of what Norman Lear shows came on before.
You mean my father? You're talking about my dad?
Your dad looks so much like Norman Lear with that hat. I'm serious, man. But no, if everyone would probably remember JJ.
I love JJ. I saw myself. I thought I was JJ.
Did you?
I really, again,
Gilligan. You did want to be a little black kid, didn't you?
Gilligan was a white dude. But I saw myself in Gilligan. I saw myself in JJ because they were silly.
They were.
So characters like JJ, I really understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get you.
Here's something else about JJ.
Yeah. What's that?
And I'll let you go. JJ was basically proto Steve Urkel.
Did I do that?
A dynamite!
Yep.
For Steve Urkel, you had JJ. That's all I'm going to say. Go ahead. What were you going to say about JJ?
He started off as a comedian, landed that role as JJ. That show blew up. I did not know that they lasted for 7 seasons.
That's a lot.
So here we're talking about Gilligan's Island. No, 6 seasons. I'm sorry. We're talking about Gilligan's Island. Last only 2 seasons.
6.
And it's still on like MeTV or whatever.
Yeah, you can watch it.
Any oldie show channel.
Man, they were so poor though.
Yeah,
they were the poorest. I think that was the poorest family ever to be showcased on a show.
But that was the thing. That was what Norman Lear said. He wanted to create a show of realism.
Yeah.
They lived in Chicago. They had it rough. Their dad, both parents worked. The dad worked his fingers to the bones pretty much.
He ended up dying on the show.
He did, didn't he? But he died in a car wreck or something. They killed him off.
Yeah. But that was really it was a comedy, but at the same time it was a drama as well.
Yeah, true. You're right. It had heart.
There were a lot of really serious issues. I mean, very serious. There were sometimes I didn't like the dad. As a grown up, I look back and I go, he was a good person.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I'm like, why are you treating JJ like that? Back off, JJ. Back off. Like, I would get really angry.
Hell, Junior's the only one in here that ain't bugging me to death.
Yeah, that's for 2 reasons, Dad. 1, because I respect you, and 2, because I fear for my life.
And, he was really a disciplinarian. and sometimes he was pretty harsh.
Mama, you think Daddy really gonna give Eddie a spanking?
Is a bean green?
Can James Brown get down?
Is your head dead?
What you want, man? Another piece of me? Don't worry, I'm split.
You ain't got to go, Eddie. You can stay if you want to.
Eddie, there's something you've got to understand. Now, we discipline our kids because we love them. If we didn't love them, we wouldn't take the time.
Yeah, he was a strict disciplinarian on that show. And then Florida, oh, James. You had little militant Michael, little Black Panther.
Oh, yeah, little Black Panther. That's right.
Not the superhero, the Black Panther group.
Yeah,
but
not
then
the same.
Thelma, their sister.
Oh, Thelma.
You had the neighbor Walona and her daughter Penny. Remember Penny? Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson was on there too.
Okay, you know who I thought was way more attractive than Janet?
Who?
Was their sister.
Thelma.
I thought she was one of the cutest girls ever. Yeah,
I agree.
She was so pretty. I had a huge crush. Again, we're talking about Ozzy's crushes. That's one of them. If you want to see who we're talking about, go ahead and watch an old episode. But she was really, really cute. But she, I didn't like her personality entirely because she was, again, mean to JJ.
She was JJ's younger sister. So
yeah, but anybody that was mean to JJ, I had a problem with. Like, you need to stop being mean to JJ. JJ is just an artist. He's just trying to be a good guy and funny.
Yeah, you're right. He was an artist. Yeah.
He was really cool. And he was a good artist.
And wasn't their superintendent of their building, Bookman? They call him Booker.
Dude, with his baggy pants.
Yeah.
Walking there, thinking that he was something.
Oh, man.
Esther Roll was
That was Florida.
Right. She had a condition for returning in season 6.
I didn't know that.
She said, and this was about JJ.
Mm-hmm.
She said that JJ would have to be a better role model for African American youth. And if that was the case, then she would return. And you know what? Beginning in season 6, JJ stepped it up. And he became a better man.
Yeah. Did not know that.
Yeah. I know all about JJ.
You know all about JJ.
I know all about JJ.
You know about JJ. All right. But you know what? We can talk on and on about these shows. It was good reminiscing and looking back at these shows that Ozzy and I had grown up with. We visualize ourselves in some of these families, and that's what made our childhood kind of endurable.
Yeah. Do you know what we're ending now, Gene?
What's that?
This is the last episode of season 2.
No.
It's over. Season 2 is over. We completed a second season.
Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so.
Isn't that great? No, this was a fun season 2.
No, it was. You're right. It really was. We talked a lot about many different topics and a lot of different issues, but we gained more listeners, obviously, in this season. We gained more feedback in this season. So as we start off the next season of the Gene and Ozzy show, we hope that all of you tell your friends about us and welcome them too on the wagon of the Gene and Ozzy show.
Yeah. Share, because season 3 is going to be spectacular. It really will. And I can't wait to return. By the way, we also have over 1,000 listens. Beginning in season 2, we have 1,000 listens now under our belt.
1,000.
1,000. Over 1,000. We're actually into the 1,000.
Oh, into the
1,000. Past the 1,000.
In many different countries.
Yeah, and we had another country being was added the last episode. So
that's insane. People in Sweden. Listening to the Gene and Ozzy show. Yet I can't even get my neighbor to listen to my show.
I can't get my own family to listen to our show. My own cousins don't listen to the show. Like I can call out my cousin right now and say something terrible. She'll never hear it. She'll never hear it.
She loves you though.
I know she does.
She does. But you know what? I'm gonna give a shout out to my wife Ashley. She's a devoted listener too. So she gives us feedback.
Oh yeah. Actually, she's the voice of the girl at the beginning of the show that says,
"You are listening to the Gene and Ozzy show."
That's her. That's Gene's wife, Ashley.
That's my lovely wife.
So we appreciate her input. Another avid listener to the Go Show. So anyway, well, Gene, you want to take us out?
You have been listening to Gene
and Ozzy. Catch you next time.
Friends. How many of us have them? Friends. Before we go any further, let's be friends.
Friends is a word we use every day. Most of the time we use it in the wrong way. Now you can look the word up again and again, but the dictionary doesn't know the meaning of friends.
And if you ask me, you know I couldn't be much help, because a friend's somebody you judge for yourself. Some are okay and they treat you real cool, and some mistake your kindness for being a fool.
We like to be with some because they're funny. Others come around when they need some money. Some you grew up with around the way, and you're still real close to this very day.
Homeboys through the summer, winter, spring, and fall. And then there's some we wish we never knew at all. And this list goes on again and again. But these are the people that we call friends.